sailing into Dieppe. Dieppe is one of the few French ports that's really easily accessible from the south coast UK at any state of the tide, in any weather, and at any time, day or night. The only other ones are maybe Calais, Boulogne and Cherbourg. It's only 58 miles from Eastbourne, or 64 from New Haven, or 69 from Brighton. That's just sailing there direct, which you can do, and frankly you don't even need to bother about the tides, because they're going to be flowing east or west up and down the channel. It's going to take you around 12 hours to get there, so you just head direct for the place and let the tide do whatever it wants with you. Having got to Dieppe, it is the perfect jumping off place for entries into the French Canals. Saint-Valery-sur-Somme is a couple of hours away, and Le Havre, come out, hang a left, and Le Havre is a day sail away, or maybe you stop off at Fécamp. Quite apart from that, it's actually a really nice French town. It's got an awful lot going for it. There are terrific seafood restaurants all the way around the marina area, and the town itself is it's partly pedestrianised, and it's very, very pleasant. Dieppe is famous for two other things. There is, of course, the car ferry, New Haven Dieppe car ferry, that runs daily, I think it is, in and out, with really good rail connections up into Paris. And then there is the raid during World War II by 5,000 Canadians and 1,000 British commandos on the place in 1942, 2 years prior to the D-Day landings. The raid was planned by, and I guess the overall command was by Mountbatten, and apparently it suffered from really bad intelligence on the German fortifications on either side of Dieppe town and the strength of the troops garrisoned there. It was codenamed Jubilee, and for the 3,500 Canadians that were killed and wounded, 250 commandos, British commandos that were killed, it was a pretty horrific experience. Military intelligence being what it is, somewhat secretive, it would now appear that the raid was partly planned by Ian Fleming of James Bond fame, and the reason for that was that Bletchley Park had discovered how to crack the codes, the cipher codes, for the three-wheel Enigma cipher machine. The Germans then bought out a far more complicated four-wheel cipher machine, and Bletchley was quite unable to read the transmissions from those codes, and so they needed to capture, ideally, a four-wheel machine, and Dieppe was one of the places which had been sent early on a four-wheel machine by German High Command. And this four-wheel machine was housed just across the road from where the marina office is now, the port office, and was sitting there in German military intelligence, just waiting to be captured. It would appear that the main objective of the British commandos, some of which were capturing gun emplacements further to the east of Dieppe, but the main objective of the commandos was to capture this Enigma machine, but not let the Germans know that it had been captured. So, pursuant to that, a load of them were on board a small British frigate, which as the brave Canadians were landing on the beaches just the other side of what is now the promenade, as they were landing in their landing craft and storming ashore under withering fire from the Germans, this frigate entered Dieppe harbour, came up into the inner harbour where the marina is now, got itself to near where the port office is. The commandos were all disembarking and running across the road into the German military intelligence headquarters, where they captured the cipher machine, a load of other material as well apparently, and then set fire to the place, wrecked the place, had an explosion in the place, destroyed the place. So the Germans had no idea what had actually been taken, and they quickly, with the stuff under their jackets, got back in the frigate, which then had to fight its way out of the harbour under apparently quite intense fire. But the Germans didn't work out that one of the objectives, if not the objective of the raid, was to get this machine. They didn't know we got it, and it came back to Portsmouth in the frigate, went down to Bletchley Park, and from then on we were able to read all German military intelligence that was transmitted via Enigma. As you approach Dieppe in your boat, I always find it very difficult to see the entrance. They're angled slightly off, sort of north-south, and they're quite narrow. The entrance is actually quite narrow. I think I don't think the ferry boat has got a lot of room when it's going in and out. One way of seeing it is there is an enormous, very clear beach to the right of the entrance. So if you can see that beach, and then you can see a sort of grey lump sticking out, or a black lump sticking out, that'll be the entrance. Because the car ferry and some very large fishing boats are going in and out of this relatively narrow entrance, it's important that you call Dieppe Port Control on VHF channel 12, and you will also see that there are traffic lights up on the entry pier, and the traffic lights, if you can see two green over a white, you're clear to go in. If you can see, that means there'll be two-way traffic. There'll be stuff coming out and stuff going in, but small stuff like you or me. If you see three green, then that means that it's one-way traffic and we are clear to go in. And if you see any other combination or anything with red in it in any way, it means you can't. It probably means you can't go in. You need to look it up in the book, and or speak to Dieppe Port Control and ask them for permission, and they will probably tell you to wait until the traffic lights turn to green. You immediately get into a large basin where off to the left is the car ferry terminal, where the car ferry parks, and generally speaking, if I'm single-handing, that's where I sort of heave to, and I use that area to get my fenders out and put my lines out ready. If you've got a crew, then as you go through that area and then continue up the relatively narrow channel towards the metal bridge, you can be getting your lines and stuff out there. As you're going up there, you need to call Dieppe Marina on VHF 9 and ask them for a place. They also speak perfect English, and they will almost certainly allocate you a place on pontoons 9 and 10, which are the first two pontoons area after the tugboat. Immediately after the big sort of metal posts, the big round metal stuff stuck in the water, and just before the tugboat, there is a relatively narrow entrance into an area where the new fuel berth is. It looks awkward and it looks challenging, but in fact there's no tidal currents, no strong tidal currents running around there, and it's incredibly well sheltered. So getting up alongside that fuel berth is pretty easy. It's it's not really a problem, nor coming off as a problem. You can reverse out, you can go astern. It's pretty good. Having got yourself parked up on one of these two visitors' pontoons, which are of course the furthest away there are from the marina office, you tie in, plug into the electricity, get your papers and passports, and go up the ramp to the top, turn left, and then walk down beside the marina all the way till you get to the roundabout, and the port office is on the left-hand side, and you go in there and you do the paperwork and sign in. They've got Wi-Fi. It's this same awful system that so many of the marinas use there. It is quite dreadful, but there you go. I can't. The best Wi-Fi in the whole of France comes out of Cherbourg, and I just wish all the other French marinas would follow their example, because it can't be that difficult. If from the port office you just go across the road and you follow a road called Rue du Quesnay, and it actually is alongside the basin. So you've come out of the marina office and followed the road that runs alongside the next basin, but on the other side of the road from the basin, there are a couple, just past the estate agents, there are a couple of really nice little sort of more modest restaurants at more modest prices where local people eat, and I thoroughly recommend their set menus. I mean, wonderful value for money, really nice little restaurants. But if you want to splash out, you go to the big seafood restaurants opposite the marina. Dieppe town is again opposite the port office and right on your doorstep. Go across the little roundabout and start walking up. Most of it's pedestrianised, stacks of shops, stacks of facilities, really nice little place to do a bit of local shopping. But most importantly, a reasonable way up on the left-hand side is a Carrefour City mini supermarket, and you can get absolutely everything there for stacking up the boat, and it's quite a reasonable walk with your loaded bags from there back to the boat. As I said at the beginning, Dieppe is a very nice French town, a lovely French town with a great historic interest, and it's a lot of fun to visit it. But it really is the jumping off place for the French Canals. If you want to do a fairly easy channel crossing and get close to the French Canals entrance, then going to Dieppe is the way to do it. If you sail across from Eastbourne, New Haven, into Dieppe, take a breath. You can go round to Saint-Valery-sur-Somme in a day, because you can work the tide. It's very important to get the tide right to go into Saint-Valery. With that route, as you'll see from my book French Canal Routes to the Mediterranean and the video about it, it takes you through all the Somme battlefields rather than Paris. So alternatively, you come out of Dieppe, probably pop round to Fécamp, because that's just 30 miles and it's a pleasant day sail, and Fécamp's a nice place to visit as well. From Fécamp, it's another 30 miles round to Le Havre, which is a huge, great marina where you can stop, take a breath, possibly take your mast down, or better still, get the tide up the River Seine to Rouen and take your mast down there, and then set off for the wonderful, relaxing, enjoyable, picturesque trip through the canals of France and the rivers of France down to the Mediterranean. I hope you found this video useful, or at least interesting or relevant to your sailing plans. If you have done so, could you press the subscribe button, which is just like there on on the screen. If you press the subscribe button, that means that you will get a notification when I issue the next video, which you can just delete and take no notice of. But it really does help me to grow my channel and make it more successful. And if you press the subscribe button, well, thank you very much indeed. What follows now is a plug for my publications, my books like French Canal Routes to the Mediterranean, the Gentle Sailing Routes to the Mediterranean, stuff like that, which is not obligatory to watch. And I wish you fair winds and safe landfalls, and thank you very much for watching this if you have. Bye.